Well, I didn't plan on open air preaching at 2 blood banks yesterday, but it happened. Want to hear about it? Hear it. Go. Get there. Check in. They tell me the computers are down, even though I got there a half an hour early to be the first one on a fast. Mind you, for me, fasting is kind of hard because my body wakes me up at 2 a.m. and the blood banks don't open up to 6:30. Some of them 7 o'clock. It'd be easy if I can just wake up and go, but no. I need to rely on the grace of God to get through those hours. And in between, said, not only am I not only eating, but I'm also preaching to you the gospel. And that's how I know that I can make it, because His grace is sufficient for me. The computers are down, and this lady, she started feeling some sort of way, so I comforted her, which started a conversation, and quickly that conversation got focused on Jesus. And then I realized, well, I was there for her brother Gary. Brother Gary, he's one of those people that 40 years ago, a pastor told him to repeat a prayer and he would be good for the rest of his life. And that's exactly what Gary did. He repeated a prayer once and then did nothing else. He's been addicted to the bottle for the rest of his life. And for an hour, I'm preaching to Gary. In hell, your lust will rage in increase for eternity and never be satisfied. Remember when the rich man went to the pit and he looked up and he saw Abraham walking with Lazarus? He said, Father Abraham, I beg of you, have Lazarus just dip his finger in some water and touch it to my tongue to quench my thirst. But his thirst would never be quenched. And he thinks he's saved. I said, well, Jesus said this: these signs will follow those who believe. They will lay hands on the sick and they will be healed. This is daily for me in my lifestyle. They will speak in new tongues. I do that also. They will also cast out demons in my name. That is also part of my daily lifestyle. They shall take up serpents and by no means be harmed. I ain't looking to mess with no snake, but if I see one, I know that I got a wall of fire around me. And I know not to play silly games with snakes. I don't dance with snakes. I respect them. I respect them and I leave them over there and they leave me alone, right? These signs shall follow those who believe. If your life doesn't look like this, you ought to be worried. And I preached a lot more to Gary. And I could tell Gary, he wasn't in a place to turn his life around and receive Christ there at that very moment. His sister was even trying to push him. And I checked. I said, that's not the way it works. I said, Gary, you don't have to respond to anything I said. Just hear it and let it soak on what I said. And then when you're sitting there all alone, just you, Jesus, and your coffee, you can make that declaration all by yourself, just between you and Him, because it's not about religion, it's about relationship. And when I said that word relationship, Gary's face lit up. The Lord shone down brightly upon his countenance. I could tell the Holy Spirit touched him that day. But I said 2 blood banks, didn't I? That's the end of the first one. That wasn't going to open up. We've been waiting around on a fast and they said, good luck, try another one. So we got to another one and it was an even smaller room with even more people than the first. And as I'm ministering to Gary's sister, I can't even remember her name, but I remember Gary. As I'm ministering to Gary's sister in that room, she keeps telling me, you're just such a happy person. You're so joyous. You're just so full of joy. I just want that joy. It's just, you could have what I got. See, before I came here to the blood bank, I spent 4 hours alone with God. That's why my smile is so big. I remember looking around the room and people were hanging on my every word.